Do you like the Dreamcast? I love the Dreamcast, and that's why I'm on a mission to complete every game on the system. There are almost 300 English language releases, and I want you to join me on my adventure to completing them all. The order is chosen at random. Last episode we took a look at Bomberman Online, although online was a bit of a lie in 2023. We're on game number 14, it's Wacky Racers. Anyone remember that? I do. My mum used to love it when I was small, and also everyone said I used to laugh like Muttley. I haven't seen the show in at least 25 years, if not more, but damn, I still remember them all. Dick Dastardly, Muttley, Penelope Pitstop, and yeah, alright, I only remember those ones, but of course, you can only have room for Penelope in one's head. She's enough. Speaking of people who are in my head, my Patreon supporters, thank you so much. Thank you for supporting me and allowing me to make Keeping great content for you. They get to watch these videos early amongst many other perks. Go check the links below for a full rundown. Anyways, I only just realized it's called Wacky Racers, not Wacky Racers, which is what I've always called it. I mean, look, it's the racers that are wacky. Bunch of weirdos. The racers themselves, they seem pretty legit. What's wacky about them? This was developed by Infogrames Sheffield House, my hometown. They used to be known as Gremlin Interactive and made games like Zool, Actua Football, Loaded, and it was published by their French overlords, Infogrames. And by the way, this is a different game to the PlayStation original. Just in case you were wondering, it is its own thing, but it's also the first release of a game that was later ported and expanded upon on the PlayStation 2 and PC. So you may have played a better, more content-rich version of this elsewhere. Believe it or not, I think I had this as a kid. Probably one of my dad's dodgy discs that he got from his mate down the road. Hey, I guess he knew that I was a fan of the cartoon show, because it's obviously not a turn-based RPG, which was the only games I used to like back in the day. Hey, it's a kart racer, and I don't remember a whole lot about it, but I definitely remember playing it to some extent. So, yeah, we're gonna refresh my memory today. On the menu, you firstly have to choose which vehicle you want. You have most of them here, but a few, including the most famous ones, are locked. So, yeah, just quickly looking through them, I decided on Peter Perfect, who's more like Peter the Ponce. But hey, his car looks really quick, and that's what I want. To my utter surprise, there is an overworld. It's like Donkey Kong Racing, just about 3 times less interesting, because essentially it is just a menu, but I appreciate the effort. So, driving to the nearest signpost, we get to the track challenge. This is where you can earn stars, and stars are what I'll be collecting to complete the game. I will try and get all of them. That's not 100% completion, but that's where most sane people would stop. But I'll get to that more later. So we're starting off on a snowy mountain track, and the white backdrop really shows how gorgeous this game is. I mean, this is the Dreamcast, and it looks just like the cartoon with amazing cell shading and attention to detail in the animation. Look at that bendy car. In the first race of the campaign, it's obviously the first time me playing, at least in like 20 years or whatever, and in the first race of the campaign, so of course, you know, it feels a little strange. I'm getting used to the physics, the weapon system, which I don't really get until a little bit later on. It took me a while to figure out what these things do. It doesn't help the fact that I probably chose the least useful racer of the lot of them, because Peter, as fast as he is, he turns like a train, which is not the most welcoming of choices for a newcomer, and his weapons aren't exactly visually telling. Like, you can't really see what they're for just by looking at them. Like this wheel thing. I don't know if this was a boost, protection, or added grip. Turns out it's the middle one, but I didn't have a clue until much later on. And that's the thing, each car has their own attacks. You start off with 3 each, and you can assign them to button prompts on the face menu. Each one costs a certain amount of tokens which needed to be collected on the track. Kind of like the coins in Mario Kart, there are a finite amount of them, and you can hold 10 at a time. If you use your weapons, you also spew out the necessary tokens kind of as payment, so someone else can pick them up, or you can recollect them your next time round. It's actually a really good system. Like, you can't spam them, you have to be very tactical, and everyone is a known quantity. Like, you know what everyone's gonna do eventually. But let's keep pressing on. I win the first race rather easily, which earns me my first gold star. 39 to go. The second race I had to try twice because I thought I was being clever, thinking, hey, there's a shortcut here. But no, I just slammed into the wall and ruined my race. Yeah, it seems like I'm an idiot, but the thing about the tracks in Wacky Races is that they almost always have multiple routes to go through. Forks in the road, so to speak. Pick your poison. I just assumed this was another one, but no, second time of trying, I do get it. Now, there is a bit of a cock block, because this adventure mode wants you to go around and try new things. The third course on this snowy section can only be challenged if you have 5 stars, so we're gonna have to look elsewhere in the world map for more stars before coming back here. So I head to Redwood Valley, which is based on the parts of America that I think only exist in cartoons. Like, where in America is this kind of stuff? I would like to go there, it looks nice. I win fairly easy on the first one, but the second one I came third. It was an ugly final few corners as I bumped into a tree, and the rivals, they are not afraid to take some shortcuts over the grass, which I wish I could, but as I've stated, this thing does not turn for me. Anyways, after 2 stars in Redwood, we can't go any further here, and we still don't have 5 stars to go back to the snowy place, so it's time to take a look at the third and final theme of this game, the Wild Frontier, a place where bathing and teeth were considered too upper class. Despite this track being massively heavy on the U-turns, somehow I come on top the first time of trying.
This has been the winner is car number 9.
This game is still really easy at this point. We go through a desert area, there's this Mexican influenced town place. I don't know, I'm not culturally up to scratch with my architecture, I apologize. I get first place, first time of trying on both. Then, we come to the Railway Canyon. It's at this point, I get utterly demolished by the competition, and I feel it's time to address the problem that I've already mentioned twice. This goddamn car. It does not turn, and considering this is currently the first and only car that I've tried, I don't know if it's just the physics of the game or the car itself. I've managed to get by fairly easy up to this point, but I should probably try at least a new vehicle, before struggling my way through the whole game. So I back out of this one and decide to change car. I've got to be honest, looking through all of them, none of them scream, I can turn. They all look like trains, but the mob car, that's the only one that gave me some confidence that it might turn like, a normal car. This has different abilities, as you can see. A Tommy gun, which is useless because you end up hurting yourself almost all of the time. A turbo boost, which is gonna win the game for me. And a shield. Way more visually signposted than whatever Peter the Pratt had. I still don't even know. And what do you know, this thing actually turns. Not just even a little, it turns even more than I could have hoped for. I mean, it's not super fast, but it's not slow either. Naturally, I won that one, and the next one in the mines, meaning I got a full sweep of stars on the Wild Frontier. But we're not done with this place just yet, because once you win the individual races, you'll see a wealth of other events that will become available. Only the next one is open to you fully though, and it's the Grand Prix of sorts. You play all 5 tracks in a row and get points based on your placement. Winner overall is the one with the most points. It makes sense. Going through all of that, I got first place in all of them, which gave me a special spanner alongside the gold star. I'm still not entirely sure what the spanner is for, but it's like a mark of excellence, like as though you can't possibly do any better in that event. You get another one if you go back to the individual races and complete them in a time trial, but forget that noise. After that, something else called the Golden Muttley Challenge is open, but instead of doing it straight away, I decided to look around some more. And it seems something has unlocked. Up a ramp, there is now a boss encounter with Professor Pat Pending. Beat him in a one-on-one race. You can tell this guy is going to be difficult, but I almost instantly found a huge shortcut which would make it a piece of cake. Unfortunately, due to sloppy driving and not being sensible enough to pick up tokens for more boost power, I still actually lost. I like how he changes form depending on the situation. On the second time, I got him good, and doing this unlocks a new weapon for you, the oil spill, which is exactly what you'd expect, and I thought this would be a godsend, and it is for about 5 minutes before the AI starts getting more difficult and they decide that the spin out doesn't affect anything anymore. They'll be spinning around and still overtaking you at the same time, but that's for later. After that, I go and hoover up all the gold stars for the individual races on the snow level, and the final one, really quite tough. This will become a big enemy of mine purely down to the fact that there's no cheese ability, there's no shortcuts or anything. It's mostly about your skill, which is unfortunate for me. After that, I do the Grand Prix, which I mostly did easily aside from the final race again, where I came second, so I missed out on my spanner. Devastated, so I did it all again, just to get my spanner. But don't worry, I will stop being that dedicated very soon. Since the Gold Muttley Challenge opened up, I thought I'd see, what it's all about. It says, collect 10 Golden Muttleys and then finish the race in first place. Alright, wait, so I have to collect all the Golden Muttleys, then finish in first place. Like, all of them. Like, you want me to collect all of them and finish first? Like, not really. I mean, you don't really want me to collect all 10 of them and finish in first place, because that would be insane, right? It's insane. It's insane. Now, it wouldn't be so bad if they were on the racing line, picking them up as you go along, or at least, on the track. But they're not even on the track. They're often, like, way out of the way. Sometimes you have to reverse to get them. Sometimes they're hidden behind objects. Sometimes you have to slam into a wall to get them. Yeah, you have to slam into the wall, come to a complete stop, reverse, then try to get back up to full speed just before you get to the finishing line. And you have to get 10 of them and win. When I first realized the task at hand, it felt like a relative had died because it was going so well up to this point, but it was like a bullet to the heart. This can't be possible. How can I even do one, never mind all 15 of them? It's ridiculous. I mean, just look at the first Golden Muttley. It's laughing at you from right at the beginning. It's like, yeah, you can come get me, but boy will I smeg up your race. I was in disbelief. I tried over and over again. I mean, I got 9. I'm on the final lap, basically the last corner, and I missed the last one, and it's over. I must have tried like 20 times until eventually I managed to do it somehow. And when you do the first one, it feels as though you've been touched by God. You've become sort of a prophet. You've gained something special within you. You've gained the knowledge. And somehow, despite the initial pain of the first track, the rest sort of fall like dominoes. It's like you've learned from the battlefield, or you've finally seen the inside the mind of a psychopath. You've learned what was dribbling out of the developer's mind. You get a routine, and the routine is, first, just find out where they all are, like don't even bother trying, just see where they are. Second, grab all of them, either on the first lap if possible, but more likely the second lap due to branching paths, minimum. Like, you still cannot be grabbing them on the final lap. Like, if you go hardcore, hoovering them up all as soon as possible, it gives you just enough time to try and catch up to the pack and boost past them. And you know what? Aside from the odd 1 or 2 tracks, they weren't so bad if I followed that method.
With only a few miles to go to the finish line, the drivers give it all they've got. We made it, Todd. I'm coming. Geronimo! You're heading into the home stretch. We're at the finish line. What a pass!
Whew. After that, another boss battle opened up, this time against a dude called Red Max, but he looks like the Red Baron, so I'll call him that. I won him on the second time of trying, despite him being a cheating git and just spamming attacks at me. I just blocked him, and blocked him before, only just getting over the finish line ahead. He gives me a cement gun, which I didn't really use that much. After completing the Muttley challenges and all the themes, then you unlock the battle mode, which is kind of fun, but it's also less well thought out compared to, other racing games, other competitions like Mario Kart battle mode. It's just 8 cars going at it. The trouble is, you can't tell how much damage you personally have, and so you'll be confused as to why you get wiped out seemingly out of nowhere. It's just random. It's not one hit, it's like a few, but you don't know how many. Also, picking up tokens, pain in the arse, because you're mostly just running around not having any. You have to resort to bumping into the other races, which is a bit finicky, not to mention quite boring. Also, the AI, not so great. Sometimes they drive around like idiots away from anyone else, as though they're playing tag with an imaginary friend. It's quite easy if you play it safe, because they take care of each other, but that makes it quite boring. So yeah, I probably made it harder for myself by trying as best as I could to do for each of them, but it's still not really challenging. But the harder you try, the more challenging it is. After the first one, I decided to go check the one route that was previously locked, and we come across the final boss. Well, he is the final boss, just this isn't the final fight. Dick Dastardly and Muttley. This is Mean Machine Challenge 1, and just like Dick, he's living up to his name. He's a cheater, driving off before the countdown even finishes. Sadly, you still follow the rules and you have to catch up. This is a super short race, but it's hard because he drops maple syrup and you get stuck on it. But actually, it is quite easy if you know which route to take and you make ample usage of the boost by picking up all the tokens you can. Just drive above and you'll easily outmatch him on the first race. Doing that unlocks a new ability to allow you to hover for a short while. I only use this in very specific places, but yeah, maybe I'll show that later, I don't know. After this, I noticed that this mine shaft that was previously closed was now open. Venturing inside, there is a unique event. It's another battle mode, but you have to do 4 battle events back to back with points. So it's kind of like the Grand Prix mode, just with battles. This was surprisingly tough because I kept being overly ambitious, shall we say. I was trying too hard, making it difficult for myself. After this, I hoovered up all the stars that I missed from other events in the track challenge, the Muttley challenge, the battle stuff from other places. After that, Dick was ready for round 2. And it's the same race, but in mirror mode, and it was just as easy if you knew which route to take. I beat it on the first try. At this point, I had 37 stars, and now for each area, the snowy place, the forestry place, and the Wild West, a new challenge had opened up for each of them. And oh my god, if you thought the Muttley challenge was bad, you ain't seen nothing yet. The Double Zero challenge is like the Grand Prix mode we've already seen before, 5 races in a row. The twist is, each race, the bottom 2 racers are eliminated. And Dick Dastardly is in this one too, and he's guaranteed to be in the final with you, assuming you make it there. Which, yes, that is fairly easy by this point. You know the tracks, you know the cheese, you know how to get the best out of your vehicle. But Dick, my man Dick, he is a cheater. That won't surprise you, but he genuinely is. Like, he's just like, sorry, you're not winning today, sucker. Because if you get close to passing him, he just activates cheat mode and he puts you back in your place. Like, it's almost impossible to win. Almost impossible. And if you fail, you have to do it all again, like all 5 races up to here, and then you'll fail again and again. He has this tractor beam that pulls you back in. He shrinks you. He can do anything and everything to pass you. And after hours of trying, there was only one technique that worked: passing him at the very last second. Passing him literally on the finishing line. And of course, due to the pacing of this video, I can't truly show you my ordeal with this one. So yeah, you should play it for yourself and find out. So after stressing my balls off on just these 3 events, there are no more events that I can do. Nothing new. I didn't even unlock the final boss level to unlock the bosses themselves to play as them, which I found weird, because I literally collected every possible star. I've got all 40 of them, but I still can't unlock the final bosses. And I don't know this for sure, but I assume you also need to collect all the spanners for each event to unlock those. Which point, I tell the game to go fornicate itself, because no way, forget that noise, I'm out of here. Only the most edgelord of psychopaths would actively try to do that, because you have to do all the levels again, but way more quickly. And I did try the time attacks on a couple of them. One of them, I didn't even come close. Another one, I just about squeezed over the line, but only by doing my finest stinking bishop. There is no way I'm unlocking Dick Dastardly for this video, so collecting all of the stars will have to do. Maybe it wouldn't be so bad if there were no other competitors on the track, but they just constantly hit you so hard, there's just no possible way I could do this in any amount of time. But just to show you, there is a cheat code that you can insert to play as the Dick himself, and yeah, unsurprisingly, he's awesome. Shame I can't use him to help me get all the spanners needed to unlock him. I am calling it today. I've completed it in my eyes. If I haven't completed it in your eyes, well, I'll poke you in the eye, okay? Overall, this game isn't as bad as you think it would be. It's a really competent kart racer made by a competent developer. Is it great? No, but I think if you rented this for a weekend, you'd be entertained. And I'm not saying that just because the developers are from Sheffield like me. You know, the Dreamcast, as far as I'm aware, doesn't have any, kart races, so this might be the best of the lot of them. It's got a lot of great things going for it. Loads of races, loads of tracks, loads of competitions. It's a full, fat, fun experience with annoying AI. I would give it a 7 out of 10 in terms of fun. Presentation. That's sensational. It looks amazing for the Dreamcast. The animation on the cars, brilliant. The tracks all have their own look and feel. They have their own unique personality too. The animation's great on them. The audio can be a bit overbearing, but I can appreciate they try to do, justice to the source material. I'd give it an 8 out of 10 for presentation. Difficulty. It's hard to say. Do I judge it on what I've done or what I should have done if I was a sucker for punishment? This game is really hard if you want all the stars, but if you want all the spanners, you better get your gimp suit on, fellas. I'll meet us somewhere in the middle, a 9 out of 10. Completion time, 8.5 hours, thereabouts. Thank you for watching. If you watched all the way through, leave me a rocket emoji in the comments in honor of Dick Dastardly, because his car looks like a rocket. Did you play this back in the day? What did you think of it? Thank you to my Patreon supporters for believing in me. If you want to support me too, check the links below. You can even watch the next episode right now. It's right there, ready to watch, and it is Shinseki Evangelion Typing EK Kaku. Oh yes, our first Japanese exclusive. It has an English patch, don't worry. Go watch it now, or you can wait until next week. Special thanks to my super producers, Alexander Cato, Brent McLean, FF14 Best RPG, Vey, Sven Nowlertz, Wixit, Josh Foot, and Dustin Martin.